I think people are saying they can't hear us in general. We might be having some technical issues.
How about now? Is that better?
Uh,
Are we good now?
Okay, I think we're good.
We're good? Okay. Uh, well, as I was saying before, happy Monday night, everybody. Welcome into the Money Stop. It is um, a late night here, while approaching a late night here on the East Coast at Daytona International Speedway. I am joined again by my co-host Blainer, and happy to be here tonight doing another episode.
Yep, it's good to be back. I don't know how we got the studio moved so quick, but we are now in Daytona, so that's wonderful. Got it all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Yeah, and I was saying, when we were muted just for a quick sec, that the Midwest has some pretty bad storms going on right now, and we moved from Coda pretty quickly. So
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. I don't even really think we had a chance to even think about. Oh, we just had someone spin behind us.
oh, was
We
it?
didn't even really have a chance to think about Coda before it already got switched here. So
Yeah. Well, that was Lego in the back who did get spun, who spun himself out. But something that's going to be interesting over these next few weeks is for our drivers to figure out the next spot that we'll be sitting in at every track. I think it'll be interesting
yeah,
because we have Sonoma coming up too, and we could be anywhere on that track. So it'll be fun to try and get to some of these tracks and plop the studio somewhere.
yeah, yeah. I can't even imagine where it's going to be at Sonoma.
Yeah, and you know what too?
uh,
I was thinking about Charlotte, but I'm not really sure about Charlotte yet. Maybe on the backstretch and like the infield where the Roval is. Maybe that would be a
yeah,
good
that would be
spot.
fun.
But anywho, let's get rolling with the episode here. Apologies for the delay. I know we were supposed to go on the air at 8 o'clock. That did not quite work out to my liking, but it is what it is. We are on the air, so we're all good. Um, let's talk about Phoenix first. We have some things to talk about when it comes to Phoenix. Just a quick side note as well. We'll have a couple other things that we are kind of incorporating into the episodes going forward that we'll talk about in just a little bit after we break down Phoenix and stuff. But just to kind of get into the nitty gritty of it, um, Laner, how did your race go? I know mine was quite eventful. The lag was like my worst enemy the entire race, but I know that you had a much more eventful race in terms of crashes and being kind of in the pack, you could say.
Yeah, I feel like we had more speed than what our finishes showed. I mean, we got a decent finish at the end, but I only got fifth in both of the stages. I definitely feel like I was a little bit better than that. But I mean, overall, it was a good day for us, I guess. We had a shot to win at the end, so I mean, that's really all you can ask for. I took the lead for a little bit. And I kind of knew when I took the lead I wasn't really going to hold it just because the land was so fast and
Mm.
he was hunting me down pretty quick. So it was still nice to lead some laps and run up front for a little bit. And I know me and you were kind of around each other quite a bit too because um, we were around I would say around third to fifth most of the night.
Yeah, that's. It seemed like we had those type of cars for most of the night. Um, One thing that stuck out to me in particular was what's it called? When Craigus dominated the race and his entire race kind of took a 180 and he was penalized and he ended up going a couple laps down and um, or I'm sorry, when he crashed and then he ended up going a couple laps down and he never really recovered from that, unfortunately. Um, I guess if you want to touch on that though a little bit, and he did win both stages, so he led a lot of the laps.
Yeah, it looked like Craigus was gonna run away with it for a while. He definitely, I would say him and Land had the best cars
Hmm.
for most of the night. They were both up front battling for the lead until Craigus got his issues. But yeah, I don't really remember what exactly happened to Craigus. Like that kind of spiraled everything down. Um, do you remember what exactly happened? I'm
I think
like what
either he got taken out or I don't.
because it
I would
it
have to go
seems
back
like
on the stream.
something happened to him, and then from that point everything just started spiraling out of control for him. Because he was kind of caught in the back. I think he got spun out, and then he was close to getting lapped. Um, Okay, so Craig, it's whenever he's me and him got into contact. Okay, I remember that. So him and Wendigo stayed out on older tires, um, and everybody else came down pit road and had fresh tires. And then Craigus got spun out. I think he was about to get lapped, and then he comes down pit road, and then the caution comes out. I think while he's on pit road or shortly after, and then he gets kind of trapped 2 laps down.
Yeah.
So
Now I remember
all of
that.
that just kind of happened really quick. And it really was unfortunate for him because he really did have a really good car. Um, and I would say at this point in the season, I would say Craigus has definitely been the fastest driver. I know Land won the race, and Land definitely had a good car as well, but I think Craigus is the one that's shown the most speed.
Yeah, I have to agree. I definitely think that he's shown the most speed, but he's also been the most consistent in earning points all race long. Um, and he just has that confidence this season that, like, I'm not really sure if I can think back to another season where he's been this confident. And I'm not sure if it's the car or if his attitude has changed or if GFM is kind of going through um, a culture change or if something's going on behind the scenes there that like is having him um, adapt a sort of different mentality on track and off the track. But I've definitely noticed like a shift in everything. His, I guess you could say his aura. I don't know if he's aura farming or whatever the fuck you guys talk about nowadays with this. I don't understand the lingo anymore, but um, when it comes to him this season, I've definitely noticed a change, and I I'm all for it. He's performing on track, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if it's really still really early in the season, and I do think that other drivers will catch up
Hmm.
as the season goes along, just because it really just comes down to execution and people learning the cars.
Yes.
But I think from where we are at right now to whenever we start the chase, it's going to be a lot closer. But I mean, um,
Hold on.
you I just saw you disappear.
Yeah,
Right.
somebody decided to no clip all in the server. So, anyhow,
No, I guess that's just part of live live audience.
yeah,
Um, um, but yeah, I think it'll the field will definitely it'll get closer. Um, but right now, I think Land and Craigus are the ones that have stood out to me the most. Just in terms of consistent speed every week.
yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. Um, I honestly we can do the flip side of that. I know we were kind of going to talk about that a little bit after the points, but they've been the fastest, and I'm a little disappointed with the 44 team of Lego. And I'm also disappointed with Wendigo. Um, just because I thought both of them would drive a little bit better. Like I didn't I honestly thought that they would honestly do a lot better um, on Saturday night, and I just did not see that speed out of them. Um, it took a lot to um, get into the race. The times in qualifying were very, very tight. So
Yeah.
these guys set some very good laps in qualifying, which I guess my impression was that they were going to do very well in the race with setting consistent lap times and whatnot. But it just didn't really seem like that. Um, Lego kind of pissed me off in the beginning of the race because he got lapped by Craigus and he didn't move out of the way. And I honestly thought that um, it kind of pissed me off a little bit. Now looking back, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Craigus didn't win the race. I didn't win the race. It doesn't matter. But um, I just think like he he blocked me from a good opportunity at getting to the lead. Um, and it just it didn't really sit well with me, I guess, during the race. So
Yeah, I was kind of a little bit further back from that, but I also noticed that as well. I don't exactly know, like, I don't exactly know what Lego's mindset was during that. I don't know if maybe he was trying to, like, I didn't expect him to lay over for everybody,
right.
because if he does that, then he's gonna possibly get lapped again. Um, but yeah, I did kind of notice that he was kind of racing in the pack while he was a lap down. Whenever Aiden went a lap down, he was kind of getting over for people. And there was just so much that's a whole nother thing that happened in that race with, I don't even remember how Aiden went a lap down, but yeah, we had a few different times that people would get lapped tonight. Really, I expected people to get lapped more frequently, but it didn't end up being that way. So
Yeah, I mean, coming to the end of the second stage, I vividly remember almost getting lapped. Like, Craigus almost lapped me. Like, I mean, had there been like five more laps, he definitely would have lapped me just because I couldn't get back in my consistent rhythm after I crashed. And I remember like as the laps were counting down in that second stage, that every time I would like inch closer to turn one, he was crossing the start finish line sooner. So I knew he was closing in on me and I was losing time. Um, so I was really just trying to push the pen and really try and get all I could out of every lap. But I think that goes to show too that um, each one of these drivers are really pushing to the max with trying to get as much as they can out of the car. So I think it's really presented a new challenge this season, um, and it's really I'm really enjoying it. So I think that I think these new cars have definitely presented a good show so far.
yeah, and I thought Phoenix was, it was an okay race. It wasn't really a track that I expected to be like the most amazing race. I
Hmm.
think the way I was thinking about it was that Phoenix was a lot of fun from a driver's perspective.
Yeah,
Like, I think everybody who was in the race had a lot of fun. It's a really fun track to race. Um, but anyone who maybe was watching the stream or is going to watch back on the race, it might not be the most entertaining race to like rewatch, or you know what I mean.
yeah.
I think it's more of like a driver's race rather than a spectating race. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but that's kind of the way I view it.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. I think participating in the race, was different for me, just because number one, it was my first time in these cars. Which great job, Laner and Icy, by the way. Great job on the cars. They raced beautifully. Um, I think these cars are such an upgrade from what we had. And we've had conversations about this before, but um, I think just for my first impression of being in the car around other competitors, it was so much fun. Um, it definitely is motivating me to get back in and do more races. So, um, yeah, and just racing around other people. I think was a lot more fun than it would have looked on the stream. It probably would have looked like a shit show on the stream. Um, just with trying to get the race started and way in the beginning too. Um, was not ideal. Um, the way it was like we tried to get rolling and then kind of took forever. So at least we were able to race. Um, but I mean, I think that overall, honestly, I think it was a great race. In my opinion, um, I think Phoenix is always going to be one of the best tracks for me just to go to because it's such a fun track to race. But it definitely races a lot different than the other cars did, which I think just made it more enjoyable because it's more in your hands. So, oh my God, we got a car in the
Oh,
background
oh
now.
my
Oh my
goodness.
God. Um,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that just happened. Um, yeah. Wow.
Oh
Okay.
my. This is like a
Parker is
Ryan Newman
having some
slash
issues back there.
Ryan Newman, Ryan
Okay.
Priest moment.
Okay. The car is out of the frame now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely did have some issues at first with Phoenix. I don't know exactly. I can't even remember. I don't remember if it was lag or oh my gosh, the car almost flew into the studio. Okay, but I think as the race went on and people got more familiar, it got a little bit better. Um, there were just it. The restarts got a little bit messy, um, but I think we kind of got it figured out whenever we realized we just can't be on each other's asses going into the restart zone.
Yeah. I think the restart zone is in an awkward position too.
Yeah,
Um, just the way it sits in the middle of turns 3 and 4 doesn't really give the drivers a good opportunity to stay straightened out. And I think that was why we saw like crashes like Land and you at certain points, and Land I think crashed with like Kragus at one point. Um, there was a couple times where the leaders got together even before the start finish line. So I think it just kind of goes to prove that like where the restart zone is not like ideal for these cars or these drivers, but um, they made it work. So
yeah, I agree.
all right. Well, obviously, Land won the race. It is his. Um, let's see. Let me see. Um, it is his first win of the season, I believe. And
Yes,
so now there's. Sorry, just taking a look back at the points. There are three drivers above the cut line that have a win now. Um, still, couple that are below the top three that have wins that do not have wins. Um, but I think this will shake out in a very interesting way in the next few weeks. Just as we see um, who the repeat winner might be, because we've had four different winners so far. So I think that in itself is going to prove to be interesting. Who can kind of um, hit the nail first with winning their second race of the season. We'll dive into the points in a little bit, but just kind of talking about Land a little bit. Um, you know, I think we talked a little bit about Kragus, but the one thing about Land that I think is particularly interesting is that he was there at the right time and he took advantage of a good opportunity to win the race. And he didn't make any mistakes. We know that Land doesn't make any mistakes, but um, in this car, anybody can make mistakes at any time. We don't really know. I think with the lag, I was making a lot of mistakes. I'm sure you saw, um, but Land was effortless in executing that final stage. I think, and making sure that he put his team in a good position to win the race. Um, and I think it's going to be interesting to see now over these next few weeks if they can capitalize even more on that.
yeah, for sure. I like I said earlier in the show, I think Land. I would say Kragus had the best car, but Land was definitely right up there with him. I think Land was really the one that was up there competing with him the most. So I would say those two definitely had the best cars. And whenever Craigus kind of got out of contention, it was easy to see why Land was able to win. I think Land would have had a shot to win even if Craigus didn't get taken out of contention, though. So it was definitely a really solid performance by him, and he did have to go earn it. So definitely wasn't an easy win.
For sure, for sure. Um, and the 21 team will have to look at going back to back at a road course next weekend. So, well, this weekend technically now. So should be interesting to see how they kind of approach the road course, and to see if they can go back to back.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, let's dive into the points. Let me get these pulled up here in just a second. Boom. There we go. All right. So just kind of going through line by line, we've got some movement here. So um, obviously, still have Craigus at the points lead there with the two stage wins. Kind of helped him out a little bit, I think, with keeping him up there. His gap to land. Well, let me see. Last week's. I think uh, last week there was about a 30, almost a 30-point gap. Um, this week it is down to about 23 ish. So the gap came down a little bit with Land winning the race, and Land moved up to second in the points. Laners down in third at 166 points. Lego in fourth at 161. Wendigo is in fifth at 149. Parker on the cut line with that last spot to make the chase right now at 139 points. Notably missed out this last weekend's race. He did not qualify in with a good lap. Um, and I know that he was really down on himself about not being able to qualify in, but I think that that goes to show that, qualifying is important at these tracks. The lap that you put down is the deciding factor of you making the race or not. And I think that that also should be a sign in practicing more during the week for these drivers. What you see going on behind us is drivers taking advantage of an opportunity, that they have to listen to the podcast, but also log some laps, some free laps while we're in the server together. Um, take this time while you have it, because once you get to the race on Saturday or Friday, depending on the week, um, that lap that you have is all that you have to make or break your weekend. Um, so I think Parker was just very upset because he put in a lot of his time, a lot of his effort, and tried to make the best of his race, and it just did not come together, unfortunately. But you know, that's why you have to try and come back next week, and I just hope that he will come back even stronger this weekend, and take advantage of a road course and different formats and stuff. But
Yeah, Parker, that definitely did surprise me. I really thought he was gonna get in, and I thought he was gonna be competitive, because he practiced a lot during the week. So that did surprise me. But like you said, it comes down to one or two laps depending on the track, and if you don't have a good lap in qualifying, you're not gonna make it in, and all that work just goes down the drain. So
yep,
you really just got to be on it in qualifying. Can't afford to have a bad lap. So
yeah,
um, it did surprise me, but whenever qualifying's that close, I mean, you just can't afford to have a bad lap. So
I do hope though that it serves as a kind of reminder though of how important it is, because I feel like in the past with the older cars, it wasn't as important for qualifying, just because we only had so many people that, you know, whoever got in, and who, you know, we mostly let everybody race. But um, with these cars, and in this day and age, um, it's really like whoever's in is in, and whoever's out, you have to try again next week. And I think
Right.
you can explain a little bit about the D2, and your guys' kind of thinking behind creating that, because I know that that was kind of news that came out this week,
Yeah.
this weekend. But
Yeah, I was about to mention that because I noticed we didn't have that in our episode outline. But also, kind of before I get into that, it looks like we only have 8 checks so far this weekend. So, I mean, we'll probably maybe get one more person by this weekend, but I don't know. It seems like not as many people are interested in the road courses. I don't know if that's a controversial thing to say, but I remember last week we kind of talked about how Phoenix was just a really fun track to log laps on. Yeah, I just don't know if as many people are interested in coming to road courses, you know?
yeah,
Um, but I don't know. I mean, like me personally, I don't like racing at road courses as much as I do ovals. I know there are specific drivers in our league that do really well on the road courses, and I'm sure that they enjoy the challenge. Like I know Lego and Land, uh, they normally do really well at the road courses, so I'm sure that they are looking forward to this opportunity to go to a road course. But yeah, in terms of the D2. Um, kind of just wanted to make that just to give people a chance that missed the race, like a race that they can still um, participate in.
yeah,
Just because it seems kind of crappy for people to put in that much practice during the week, kind of like we just talked about with Parker. And then you have one bad lap, and then you just have to wait a whole nother week to go racing.
yeah,
So it's kind of a crummy situation. Like we really do feel bad for people that don't make the race. Um, because like Parker, for example, I mean, he put in hundreds of laps over the week and hours of practice, and then he just has a bad lap, and all of that work just goes down the drain. So D2 it's not only for that reason. We're also have some new people joining the league. I'm sure people have seen the new people join recently. So it's also good to get new people involved and just things like that. I mean, it's, just kind of a development series and something that we can all do for fun after the cup races. So more details will get released on that closer to time, but that's kind of the general idea for it.
that's good. I think it's um, another opportunity for some of the drivers to stay engaged, at least, if they um, happen to not qualify in, that gives them another spot to go. So I think it's good for them. um, the only thing that, like, uh, and this is like the only thing I'll say on having a D2 is, like, I feel like in the past we've kind of used the D2 as a piggyback for seeing, like, if the tracks were doable or not. Um, and I just wish, like, I wish that didn't happen when that was around. So I hope that that won't kind of happen again. Um, but I know that it'll probably be a lot different this time around, just with how it'll run. But um, you know, just I was not really I wasn't really a fan of that, um, because it didn't really, I don't know, it made it look like we prioritized Cup a little more. So
Yeah.
it just, it didn't really, we didn't really put as much emphasis on a D2 when it was around back then. Um, so I hope that they get the same um, kind of what's it called? Like, not treatment, but like um, the same spotlight as
Yeah, I know
Cup
what you mean.
does. Yeah, yeah.
Because
So
like barely anybody ever showed up to D2. Really, like back whenever we used to have D2, I wouldn't say it was viewed like negatively or anything, but like people definitely didn't take it seriously.
yeah,
Um and really its main purpose I would say was just to kind of test tracks out for the Cup series.
yeah,
Because it got to a point where it was mostly just Cup drivers racing in it. Um and hopefully that evolves over time because I know like starting out this season in D2 we're not going to have enough D2 drivers to have a full series. So we're going to kind of rely on cup drivers, filling in as needed. But eventually, hopefully, we have enough new people to where it kind of sustains itself, especially before we get the new lag updates done. Because right now we're kind of in a crappy spot where we only are able to support 8 cars in the game. So we kind of had to think of some outside of the box ideas for that.
Yeah, and I mean, time will tell. I mean, these cars are new. Everything is new this season. So, I mean, you guys are experiencing it for the first time as much as we are. So, whatever you guys have to do to make sure that we get the cars up fully and running and, not really having any issues further with lag and things like that, I think would just improve the experience overall. So,
Yeah, and I will say, like, all things considered, I think people have been pretty patient with everything this season.
yeah,
I know in the past people have kind of been a little bit I don't know, not as patient, I would say. I don't really know what word to use for that, but I think people have been pretty understanding and patient with the cars so far this season, and that's definitely been good to see because a lot of these issues that arise during the races, we don't really know that they're going to happen because this is new to us too. Like we don't. This is the first time we've ever raced at any of these tracks or really raced with the cars, so
right.
all these issues that come up are definitely new to us as well. So we try our best to get everything fixed in a timely manner, and we appreciate everybody being as patient as possible.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you guys can only work with what you have. So, it's trying your best. That's it. Um,
Yep. And I think next season will go a lot smoother.
yeah,
Season one in these cars was always going to kind of be like not a test season necessarily, but like we're just learning the ropes.
right.
It's going to be a little bit messy here and there, but I think after one full season in these cars, like next season, we'll hit the ground running and we'll really know exactly how things are going to go.
Yeah. Well, with that, I do want to just highlight another part on these points real quick um, while we have them up. I know that Casey also, I'm not sure if that's how you say his name. I'm still learning names.
I think
But
it's Casey. Yeah,
okay. Um, I think Casey tried also qualifying in, did not really work out. Icy also tried qualifying in, did not work out. So I think what you'll start to see is like these drivers that are below the cutoff line. Um, if they're, trying to qualify in and they're not, able to, their points are going to stay right where they're at. So,
right.
it's very important that, these guys below the cutoff line continue to show up and also just, make their best effort to qualify in.
Yeah, I mean, we do give out 25 points just for attempting to qualify, but I mean, that just attempting to qualify isn't going to cut it
Yeah.
time after time. Like, if you're not making the race, you're going to fall behind. One thing I did want to talk about with the points is that Jax he won a race, he won Auto Club. And he's kind of sitting there. He's a little bit below the cut line, but if you look at the races he's attended, he's only attended one race. So
Yeah.
it kind of worries me with him, like meeting the qualifications to make the chase because you have to attend eight races, and we're already, I think Charlotte will be midway through the regular season.
Yeah.
So Jax is one that really worries me to even qualify into the chase, even if he does get back above the cut line.
Yeah.
Everybody else, I think, is in pretty good spot. Other than that, I mean, I think you and Icy and maybe Casey would still have a shot. But other than that, I would say anybody who's only attended one race is in a little bit of a panic situation because
Yeah.
that's not really where you want to be right now.
Yeah, and that's something they'll have to consult with their teams as well on kind of how to move forward with that. But I mean, we'll have to see what happens over the next few weeks.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. It is still pretty early in the season, but we it is starting to kind of take shape a little bit. Who's going to be contending for the chase and who's not?
yeah, for sure. Um, did we wanna? We talked about before the episode just doing something like um, tallying up kind of points so far from the picks we've made, I believe. Um,
Yes.
so I don't know if you have that ready, but we were gonna do a little bit of a competition from here on out on, um, just the picks that we make, how well they do in the races. So I don't know if you have that stuff ready later, but
I do not. I did not get that prepared.
well, it's all right. We'll start it next week then, and just be on the lookout for that. We'll have to go back and dig through our old picks for what we've had so far this season. Um, all right, cool. Um, my next segment here, and I guess we can kind of just keep on rolling through because we kind of already touched on it, was just kind of talking about like Land's performance overall in the 21 so far, and other contenders that have been showing speed, and then those that have been lacking speed. So again, we kind of already touched on that, so I think we're okay to move on if you didn't have anything that you wanted to add.
No, I mean, I think we pretty much covered everything so far.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we're good.
all right. Um, well, next I have on the agenda um, to talk about is we're going to start a new segment, and this is going to be permanent, called Hit the Gas or Pump the Brakes. Don't mind the AI. But obviously, you guys know, how this works. We'll go through a set of prompts, and Lena and I will just give our opinions as to whether we'll hit the gas on, you know, on doubling down on that prompt, or like pumping the brakes if we're not too confident in something, or if we have concerns about something. Um, that is kind of how it works. But just to kind of put a spin on things, in our normal kind of episode um, schedule, and how we kind of run our episodes, we wanted to start doing this. So this will be something we throw in every week now too. All right. First prompt here. Land will win 4 or more races this year. Are we hitting the gas or pumping the brakes? Laner, I'll let you go first.
Um, I'm pumping the brakes or
Okay.
hitting the brakes. Nothing against Lance' performance so far. I think he's been really fast, but I think we're gonna have a lot of parity this season. And I know it is a longer season, so like I could definitely see a world where he does win 4+ races. But if you asked me right now, I see him winning maybe 3 or 4 total in the season. I don't know if he's gonna win 4+.
Okay. I'm also gonna pump the brakes. I think that just given that we haven't seen a repeat winner yet, um, I think it is proving that a lot of these different tracks are producing different winners. So as we continue to go to different tracks, I think different people will stand out. Eventually, there will be a repeat winner, but I just don't know if Land will get up to 4 or more. I think other people will, climb up to 2, and then you'll get up to 3, and then 4. But I don't think there's going to be like a clear favorite, or one that wins like 8 out of all the races this season, or wins a majority of the races, just because I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. So
Yeah, like we kind of talked about earlier, I think other people are going to catch up, um, and the field will become more even than what it is right now. But if there was any driver I would feel confident saying would win 4+ races, it would be Craigus at this point. Just because he has looked like the most dominant driver in the series so far. Land has looked okay, but he's not. It's not like the Land from the old game. Just because the cars are different. That's nothing against him. It's just the racing is different. So I just I don't know if anybody's going to win races like that, like you just said.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of winning races, let's go to our next prompt. Lego will win a race, I guess either in the regular season or just this season. Didn't really specify on the prompt, but um,
Right.
we saw how dominant Lego was in the preseason. Um, and it doesn't feel like that is happening now that we're actually, now that the season has started and we're in these cars. We've done 3 races so far in these new cars, so it's, I don't know. I feel like there's been a variety of tracks up to this point now where you can kind of figure out, where you might be strong and where you might lack speed. Besides the short tracks, I feel like we figured that out for the most part at this point. Um, this weekend will be another test, obviously. Um, but I think I'm gonna have to pump the brakes just because I don't really know if Lego is kind of like, I don't know what mindset he's in right now, with driving the cars or his mentality on the team right now. Um, you know, I just, I don't know. I haven't really seen the speed out of that 44 car, um, the last few weeks to make me feel confident in saying that he can win a race right now. I mean, he could go out and like dominate the road course this weekend and completely blow me out of the water with his performance, but I just don't have the confidence right now. That's all.
It wouldn't surprise me if he did either.
Yeah.
I guess we'll talk about that when we get to Daytona. But I think Lego is one of the best road course racers in the league. Um, but I'm also gonna hit the brakes, just because I can't account for the preseason whenever we're talking about this season,
Mhm.
because it's totally different and it means nothing.
Yeah.
Whenever we're talking about this, um, what Lego has shown me so far during the regular season is does not does not tell me that he will be winning a race anytime soon. Kind of like you said, it's just been like really topsy turvy. It's not consistent. That's not to say he can't figure it out, but I definitely expected more. I really expected him to have already won a race by now, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest, just with how dominant he was in the preseason. Um, but like you said, he could definitely go out and win Daytona this week, and he could definitely go out and win Charlotte next week. I think he's really good at the intermediates and on the road courses. So um, yeah, I don't know. It's really just a guessing game. I think Lego has the potential, but from what I've seen so far, yeah, I'm gonna hit the brakes too.
Might I add too, Sonoma is also coming up, so he has
Yep.
another road course opportunity, in just a couple of weeks. So, if he shows out, this weekend, but like just comes up short, or if he does win this weekend, I wouldn't be surprised to see him up front again at Sonoma.
Yeah. It it would not surprise me. It's just like it's not like he's even really running up front or like challenging to lead laps that much. And that's kind of my thing is like if he was up front like challenging with Craigus on a week to week basis, kind of like he was in the preseason, I would be like, okay, like I'm hitting the gas, like he's gonna win soon. But it's just been like so inconsistent where a lot of the times I will say it's not even necessarily his fault. He gets into wrecks, kind of like in Phoenix. I don't even know what the heck happened at the beginning that he went a lap down, but it's just like that team has just been plagued by so much bad luck, and it's like when are they going to dig themselves out of that hole? You know,
Mhm.
we're already almost halfway through the regular season, so it's almost time that you got to start picking it up. You know,
Yeah. No, I agree.
so
I agree. All right, third prompt. GFM will fall off this year. As in, and we kept these very vague just for this week. Um,
yeah,
it could literally mean anything just with, you know, I guess winning races, um, the driver performance, if they have driver turnovers, new drivers coming in, things like that. I I don't know. It's hard because Craigus is winning. He's winning races at this point, and he's dominating. Kind of, he's been arguably like the best person I would say that has been up front. Um, it's just hard to tell, but like he's really been the only one. Like
Right.
like I can't say that like Bip has shown up and shown out, and I can't say that Wendigo has shown a lot of speed either. Um, but I mean, like they're making an effort. So I think I'm gonna pump the brakes for now. Um, just because I'm not really sure. Like, if none of their drivers had won this season yet, I would say give it to me, hit the gas all the way. But
Yeah,
I'm not really convinced yet that they'll fall off. Um, but again, as I always say, the first half of the season is completely different from the second half. Craigus could fall off, and all of a sudden, Wendigo is winning all these races. So
I
I
agree.
think just time will tell. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the brakes as well, just because like it's a long season. But if the championship was being held tomorrow, I think Kragus would be the favorite. Um, so GFM definitely still has a shot to win a championship this year. They might not win as many races, mostly just because they lost a driver,
Yeah,
um, and the most winningest driver in that team's history at that. So obviously, when you have less drivers, you don't win as many races. But um, I think even if Wendigo doesn't win a race this year, I think Craigus is going to plenty carry that team. He has a lot of speed. So, yeah, Wendigo's performance is a little bit concerning. He's kind of reminds me a lot of how my performance has been. He's just kind of been in the third to sixth range most of the races and not really up front challenging for the win. But
yeah,
like I said, I think as people learn the cars a little bit more, the field will kind of it'll get closer together. So I'm not too concerned yet, and I think they'll be fine.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. Um, all right. Moving to our next prompt. We will have a new champion this year. I will let you start.
I will hit the gas, even though I'm the defending champion. I just I don't think I've adjusted to these cars quite as well as other people. That's not to say I can't in the future. Um, I mean, we still have quite a ways until the chase or the championship, but I think there are definitely other drivers that have figured out the cars a little bit better than me. So I'm going to hit the gas.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree as well. I am also gonna hit the gas. I think that um, just again, like you kind of said earlier, with the parody of it all, um, I think that we're just gonna see a lot of different winners, um, and I think that we're gonna see a champion this season that we have not had in ROCAR's history. I'm gonna have a hot take there, but I think we'll have a like a completely new champion this year.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's me, you, or Land, then it would have to be a new champion. And
Yep.
not to talk bad against us, but I think we're all kind of like old veterans at this point. I don't know. I could see one of us winning the championship. I wouldn't put that out of the realm of possibility, but I really think, like I keep saying, I think I'm feeling Craigus this year. Like he's been in Rocar for a while. I know it's so early in the season, but like he's been in this league for a long time, and he's accomplished a lot in his career. And I know that a championship is definitely something that he wants on his resume. So I Craigus would be the one that I would pick right now, but things can change. It wouldn't surprise me if in a few months from now, Lego's the champion. I mean,
Yeah.
really, anything is possible, you know.
Yeah, and I remember last season too. We kind of talked down on Craigus a lot early
Yeah,
on in the season, and things kind of changed as it went on. So anything's possible. If you turn your performance around, you could be the champion. So it's really the ball is in your park. You gotta figure out what to do with it.
I'm sure there is not any driver happier in the garage right now with the new cars than Craig is because he has picked these up very quickly.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm sure he is very pleased with the new cars.
yeah, I agree. Alrighty. Well, that is wrapping up our hit the gas and pump the brakes portion of this episode. We will have more prompts for you guys next week, and we'll have more of a discussion. Um, Thank you guys for listening in. Craigus was joining us briefly there. Now he's in the back by the campfire. You guys might see him back there.
He heard
Um,
all the nice things we were saying about him.
I know, I know. Um, let's talk Daytona Road Course. So, pulling up just the lap breakdown and stages and all that good stuff. So, this weekend's race is going to be held on Saturday. It's going to be 40 laps. Stages are 10, 10, and 20. The drivers' meeting is going to kick off the weekend's events at 6:40. Practice at 6:45. Qualifying will be at 7, and then the race will kick off after that. Later, as you mentioned, um, there are currently 8 people checked, so with 8 being the maximum, um, we'll have to kind of see if anybody else jumps in, between now and Saturday. Um, but for now, it looks like everybody that's racing will qualify in. Um, could change, but um, I think just right off the bat, something that I'm going to be interested in looking at is I think that this road course is going to be very interesting. I only ran a couple laps on it last night, but it's very, very interesting the way that it races. So I honestly think that a lot of drivers are going to make a lot of mistakes this weekend. And whether that's like over driving the backstretch chicane or over driving, the final turn before the start finish line. Um, those two turns are really the ones that like I have found difficulties with. And from what I've seen, a lot of people are still trying to get down. Um, but I honestly think that it'll be a good time. I just think that a lot of people are going to make mistakes this weekend. And even if we had stayed at Coda, I think it would have been the same thing. But it'll be interesting to see how these cars handle on this course.
Yeah, I agree, and I think road course racing in these cars is it's very different than the old cars. If you can really like learn the track, you can build a huge lead, and you can kind of just leave everybody in the dust. So I feel pretty confident in saying that whoever executes the best race will end up winning the race. Um, I really think it'll be who makes the least amount of mistakes. There's just so many different parts of the track that you can screw up in. Most notably, the front stretch and back stretch chicanes have like those walls. So I think people are just going to be slamming into those walls all race long.
Yeah.
So whoever keeps their car clean and doesn't wreck it, I think will probably end up winning.
Yeah, I think it's really whoever we have a we have a guest trying to make an entrance into the studio. Um, but I think that it'll be very interesting to watch um again like how everybody approaches it. And just I have a feeling a lot of people are going to try and be aggressive and it's not going to work. I feel like at this particular course, you have to be very conservative with the car and um, kind of take your time to make your way around the course. You cannot be aggressive and trying to, um, you know, uh, make your way around here because it will bite back, I feel like. And, it's just, I don't think it'll work. So, you definitely want to make sure that you master this place, but it's like Darlington, you can get a Darlington stripe or, if you get taken out of Darlington, you won't be running the same as you ran before you wrecked. So, um
Right.
just, you have to be really cautious I think this weekend. So, it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I I don't really know what to expect from this weekend, especially like with the wasn't really a last minute change, but it's not the track we were expecting to go to. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that it's a good race, but me personally, I'm looking forward to next week. This is just kind of a filler in between, but I'm not a huge
Yeah,
fan of the road courses, so yeah, we got a lot going on behind us.
yeah. All right. Well, let's try and wrap up before the studio explodes or something. Um, let's do our rate the race for um, this past weekend's race at Phoenix. Um, I can't remember for the life of me who went first last week, so I'll let you start since I started in the last segment. But you know, what's your score for Phoenix?
I'll give it like a 75. I thought it was a good race. It wasn't anything amazing, but I thought it was pretty compelling. Yeah, it was a decent race. I'll give it a 75.
All right. I'm gonna give it an 85. Um, Phoenix has always been one of my personal favorites. It's just a lot of fun, and I really enjoy racing there. So, and I think this car really presented a lot of good racing between everybody. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna stick with an 85. I think. Alrighty. Well, that is your rate the race for this week. Um, and that's pretty much going to do it, I think. Um, I don't think we had anything else that we wanted to touch on, but um, that's going to do it from us tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Money Stop. We'll be back next week as we talk about Daytona Road Course, and we'll be talking about some patriotic paint schemes, and we'll be kind of decking out the halls for um, Patriotic Week. So, um, uh, thank you again for tuning in. Lane, or anything you want to say before we go off the air?
Nope. I think we covered everything.
All righty. Well, we will talk to you guys next week. Have a great night, everybody, and be sure to tune in to the Daytona Road Course this weekend. 40 laps around here. It's going to be wild, so make sure you tune in. Have a great night, everybody.
See you guys.